We're at Automechanika Birmingham, the biggest aftermarket exhibition in the UK. And as you would expect, the Institute of the Motor Industry is centre stage. Now, the exhibition's obviously all about providing information and advice for people in the motor industry. Now, MOT was really big for the business last year because the arrangements changed from the old days of the DVSA. So the IMI put on a presentation for MOT testers and for training providers to find out what's going to happen in year 2.
The annual test mark has moved from 50% to 60%, which therefore puts the weight back on those testers who only just got through. So the best possible action for them would be to take the annual training through us as well as the annual assessment, because the annual assessment is driven by questions through the annual training and MOT knowledge. So using our training gives them the best part to answer all of their questions and to get themselves another year's worth of training.
Well, they need to be aware that obviously initially that training has changed from now. It's now moved on from the old DVSA days to what the IMI are now producing and other training providers. They can get information from the gov.uk website. They can ring various training providers through using Google search engines, or they can ring colleges or other training providers to get any information that they may need.
Now, just to get an idea of the scale of the exhibition, who's here and the kind of people are visiting, we spoke to the organisers.
We've got over 800 exhibitors, 70% bigger than it was last year. There'll be around over 12,000 visitors by the time we close our doors at the end of the show, at the end of the 3 days. We've divided the show into 2 areas for aftermarket and supply chain this year. We've got different seminars for the different visitor groups that we attract to the show. We've got a connected and digital technology zone showing all the new technologies and future technologies, as well as a workshop training area for interactive demonstrations for workshops. So we cater across the board for all of the representatives of the industry.
Now, as well as the obvious parts and equipment suppliers, the future technology zone at Automechanika was getting a lot of attention. My own personal favourite is the facial recognition software being demonstrated by Nottingham University. And I've got one of their key people here, Dorothy Winkelmeyer, to explain what this is all about. Now, Dorothy, tell us what it is you're showing, first of all.
Yes, so this is some software that was developed by the Computer Vision Group at the University of Nottingham, and it's designed to recognize your facial muscles when they're activated. And this is a particular application where we use this to try and detect what emotion that your face is exhibiting.
So do you actually have an idea what the application for this is in the motor industry at the moment, or are you just exploring the possibilities?
Well, we have some ideas, but we're also exploring. And I mean, there are some sort of obvious things, like things related to safety, like if a driver is falling asleep or if they're stressed or angry. But we're also looking for any ideas that anyone else might be interested in developing with us or working together with us on.
Right, I'll try a few emotions. This is happy. And bingo, I am actually happy. See if I can get disgust. That's fabulous. Okay, now cross. And how about fear? Now this is fascinating as well. It's some virtual reality software being demonstrated by Optis. They're a French company. Now I have Dr. Jos Petit with me, just to explain a little bit about what it is.
Hello, good morning. So we present here some software to do some virtual reality. We enable our customers to look at cars that in reality often don't exist yet. They just have a design given by their styling team, and they will already want to be able to sit in the car and have a look at things like ergonomics, visibility inside the car, comfort, the amount of space they would have in the car. So there are lots of studies and lots of iterations for the design they could do before building any single parts or committing to any money for tooling.
That's excellent. So is it okay if I have a little go?
Of course, yes. The same feeling as if you were into a rail car. However, the car you are looking at doesn't exist yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I see I'm inside a Tesla, and it is extraordinarily realistic. I mean, I've seen virtual reality before, but this, I mean, I actually am completely fooled. Apart from not being able to see my own hands, it is extraordinary. So can you easily change the dimensions of things inside the cabin, for instance, whilst I'm watching?
Yes, so often our customers will look at several designs and compare them to virtual reality. So several like this could be bounced around and they could really sit inside the car and see how it feels.
I would assume that there would be applications for this, particularly in training for the aftermarket, for maintenance and repair as well.
Yes.
So that we should see this in colleges that we work with in the IMI fairly shortly. Now, tomorrow's all very well and interesting, but today is obviously the most important to anyone operating a business. So we went along to see the interactive workshop zone to see what was on offer. As I said, there's something for everybody at this show, and this is a great exhibition of something that's got applications for our training centres, all 600 of them. Now, Mr. Mano Baez is demonstrating this, what's called virtual paint system. Just give us a quick idea of what it is and how useful it's going to be to people who could buy this.
Okay, virtual paint is a system that simulates spray painting for training purposes. It's almost like a simulator for pilot training, but we apply the same thing to painting. You can train painting outside of the spray booth, in the classroom, without using paint, without using special clothing, without masks, etc. The system will simulate any type of paint, and all the gun controls are actually reproduced. After you're done painting, the system will actually show you your results. So, big advantage, you see what you did right, you see what you did wrong, and you can adapt your behavior to that.
So there are obvious cost benefits to training centres, etc. But in terms of it as an educational aid, how do young people, because we all know that millennials are different from the rest of us, how do they respond to this as a training aid?
Well, the generation of people that we're training today to work in the industry, they're used to this type of system. And often, I don't even have to tell them how it works. They sort of already understands, from having grown up in a computer generation.
So, is it all right if I have a quick go?
Yeah, well, are you an experienced painter?
I am not, but
Okay.
I will see how I get on. I'll just finish it, so can you see what it is yet?
You need to cover a little bit more than that.
At the top?
You can still see through the paint.
I see. So I was going for sort of Banksy effect.
Well, I think you got something to learn. But the nice thing about this system is that it will actually show you what you did right and what you did wrong.
So
by simply clicking here, everywhere that is showing green, you're within the paint thickness specification. Where it's blue, you didn't put up enough paint. Where it's red, you put too much paint.
All right.
And if you would have had black, it would have been a run.
So these are the bad bits, because obviously
Yes.
we'll have to scrape those off.
Yes.
But I could just go and do some more on those.
Exactly.
Carrying on the theme of electric and hybrid vehicle qualifications and the skills needed to look after them, our boss Steve Nash was here talking to visitors about the need for licensing in the industry and for government investment in the skills that the industry needs.
What I've been talking about today is the IMI stance on licensing. So bringing people up to speed with actually exactly what we mean by licensing and what we don't mean. The steps we've been taking, how far the campaign's got, exactly what it will mean for people and stakeholders in the industry. Because I think when people hear about licensing, it's a bit worrying for some people, and they're not clear whether we're talking about licensing for everything or and I was able to make it clear that we're talking about specifically about people being licensed to work on high voltage electrics, but also going forward probably the autonomous technologies as well. And I think that was very, very well received. In fact, talking to a lot of stakeholders here at the show, everybody we've spoken to has said we're absolutely there with you on that. Speaking to the audience, what I actually suggested they did. I mean, clearly, they've got to go away and kind of inwardly digest what I've told them, but being clear to them that we're the point of information for them, so that anything they want to know, or if they want to actually express support, this is where they come to our website.
We're giving a little bit of an overview of how some of these hybrid electric vehicles work, what kind of components that they're going to come across in their place of work, whatever kind of organisation they're involved with. Obviously, we're not going to teach them today what they should and shouldn't do, but it gives them a little bit of an awareness of what the kind of risks are, what kind of procedures would have been in place, and of course, if they attended a training course, what kind of skills and confidence they would have working on this type of technology. So it works for them definitely.
If you've enjoyed this glimpse of Automechanika, maybe next year you'll consider coming along yourself. If you can't, you can always find out all the information you need from the IMI website. In the meantime, we'll see you again soon.